And this is an example of what I think you can do even at a relatively young age and have a real influence in politics. And the end point that I'm going to end with here is that I'd like all of you to consider not only getting out there and campaigning for other candidates, but think about running for the legislature. Think about running for selectmen. Think about running for office. Here's what happened to me. So there I was, as a college student, as a sophomore, and I saw an ad in the paper, an announcement about a political office here in New Hampshire that comes around every 10 years. It's the Constitutional Convention. How many of you have heard of the Constitutional Convention that happens here in New Hampshire? Not everybody. It's a little bit of an obscure office, but I decided to run for it. I come from the town of Newport, New Hampshire. I just graduated from Newport High School when I was in college. And decided I would put my name in. Here is what I'm here to tell you tonight, is that if you want to go out there and run for office, you can actually do it. And if you're willing to knock on doors, and if you're willing to work hard, I wrote 1,000 letters, I knocked on so many doors, and I ended up winning this relatively unknown political office. But what it did for me is it put me in the milieu, the mix of people who were in the legislature, and I saw that I could do that as well. And I ended up running for the legislature when I was in the fall of my junior year in college, served 2 terms. And during those years, there were 30 people in the legislature under the age of 30. And I'm looking out into this room tonight, and I think I see some future legislators out there. And I know that the Democrats today in the House have us outnumbered in terms of young people. And I know that this group out here can do an amazing job. Now, here's the other experience that I wanted to share with you. Well, not only was I able to win office, and I did serve 2 terms, but I also got great exposure and great experience serving on the House Judiciary Committee. You can do that at a young age. You can get exposure to people like the Attorney General, who at the time, Deputy Attorney David Souter was in front of our committee, and you have those kinds of opportunities. So I encourage you to run, I encourage you to do great things. I also say, I'd like to share with you one other thing that I'm involved in now that I think you all can benefit from. And I'd like to ask your help in this. I come from the town of Newport, New Hampshire. How many of you know where Newport is? It's actually pretty good. I see Steve Negron back there. Yeah, there's definitely some people. It's a great community. But let me see if this is something that you guys would identify with. There's so many towns in our state that are going through a tough time right now. If you go north of Concord, if you go west of Concord, there just aren't that many opportunities. So here's my story. I grew up in Newport. It's a town of about 6,000 people. It's years ago had this beautiful main street with independent stores up and down the main street. Just a really almost a Norman Rockwell kind of town. And but if you look, and you have really trouble getting a parking place on a Friday night or a Saturday morning. But you go back to a town like Newport now, and you see a very different place. You see a place where the stores, where they were bustling before, there are vacancies. Many of the jobs have left town. And of course, opioids are affecting Newport and so many other towns around our state. So I decided last year, I was just driving through town, and I decided that, I'm going to change that. We're going to revitalize the town of Newport. And we're in the process of doing that right now. By the way, Newport's nickname has always been the Sunshine Town. And so we're calling our revitalization program the Newport Sunshine Initiative. And we're bringing Newport back, restoring old mills. We're doing a digital training program, and actually bringing jobs to Newport. So the reason I mention this is that I think each of you have the opportunity to take your community and make it better. We're developing a template that we're going to roll out across the state. And it's that kind of grassroots support that we're really looking for as we look into 2020. So I encourage all of you to take this example and go out and really work hard in 2020. We really need all of you. It's going to be a positive year. And lastly, as one other note, and some of you know my son, Gates Lucas, ran for the New Hampshire House this past year. and he won. He's only 26 years old. He's just recently a college Republican. And one of the great experiences of my life was knocking on literally 1,000 doors in Sunapee and Croydon with Gates, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So thank you all very much.